Any recognitions?
Mr. Clubs.
Good deal.
So I am stepping in for Miss Medlin. She was asked to sit in on a couple parent-teacher conferences, but when she told me who was getting this award, I was very honored to be able to come up and give it to her. So Riley McCurdy is in second grade down at Triway, and I just want to tell a real quick story on her. I do what's called minute meetings, so I try to meet with every student in the building. I've met so far with everybody from kindergarten all the way up to the third grade. And when I met with Riley, I just asked a few questions, and I brought her out into the hall and had my computer open, and she goes, "Mr. Clubs, before we start, I have a suggestion for you." And I go, "Okay, what's that?" And she goes, "You know that bench outside on the playground?" I go, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, if somebody's sitting there and they're all by themselves, I'm going to go ahead and go over and play with them and include them in with me and my friends, because I don't want anybody feeling sad or lonely." So, and that just exemplifies what kind of girl she is. Bright smile, always cheery, begs to be the person that is assigned the new kid so they can take the new kid around and show them the ropes, so to speak. And just does a really great job for us at Triway. She is what we want in students, and we're blessed to have her. So Riley, I appreciate everything that you do, and thank you for being here.
Riley, come on, kiddo.
Get your picture taken.
What a coincidence.
Okay, look who's gonna give you that.
You can get up and take it. Yeah.
Hold that up there. Can you hold this too? Let me help you hold it. I don't have her, she's mine.
What was that again? What was that?
1, 2, 3, smile.
You're not done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let
Let me get out of
You're not done.
there so they can see it.
Big head was right in the way.
This is my great niece.
Yes.
And mine.
And mine too, right? Your
It
granddaughter.
sounds like she's a,
Awesome job.
sounds like she's a,
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yay, good job.
And a good big sister.
Yep. You did good. Okay, let's go on and let's approve or amend an agenda.
Yep.
Do anything in amendments?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? 6-0. Have we got any public comment, Ms. Tammy?
None.
None. Moving along. We need to approve the consent agenda. Minutes, bills, transportation, surplus property, a typewriter, and typewriter supplies. Is there a motion to approve that? Is there a second?
One second.
It is moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. 6-0. Motion is passed. Program evaluations. How about a drug-free program?
All
How are
right.
you doing that?
So when I called Tammy and asked her how long to speak, she said about an hour.
You must have heard wrong.
We know Tammy isn't.
So you guys have the program evaluation in front of you. Just a couple things I want to point out is our SOTA group is the only of its kind here in Newton County. No other school has a group that is specifically dedicated to drug prevention like our SOTA club is. Now, with that said, Neosho and Seneca are attempting to start a group in their school districts, and they are trying to base it off of our SOTA group. So we should be proud of our SOTA and the things that they've done in our community. Another thing is our SOTA groups at the junior high level are involved in a competition to create a public service announcement. So they go and present in sometime in the beginning of December to the Newton County Community Coalition at Crowder. And if chosen, their public service announcement will be professionally produced and placed on KSN, KODE, and they'll put that commercial out there. So I just wanted to let you guys know. I thought that's an awesome thing that they're doing out there. The safe and the data collected on here is the Missouri Student Survey. So I made a copy. I was talking to a parent today. They didn't know what the Missouri Student Survey was, and so I pulled off the county results, and you guys can just look through that. Past 30 days use is what we normally go off of when we're looking at trying to figure out drug trends, as opposed to have you ever tried it? Because if they're using in the past 30 days, they say that that is a very good indication that they're using more than just once. So as you notice there, the good is that our prescription drug abuse, which was a trend that went up about 7 percentage points in 2016, is now down a percentage point. So we really, I think the community's actually hit hard on that. But the bad is our marijuana use rates are up 3% almost. So there's really, the program concerns that we have are just that, you know, it's really hard to measure what we do in the classroom. We go out, we talk about drug use and how bad it is for you, but it's hard to measure until we get these Missouri Student Surveys, which are only done every other year. So, but I just, it's more than just a drug survey, so if, those are yours to keep, and look through that. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. This is, before I started as a school counselor, this is kind of what I did and helped with, so.
So it's, is the local data, is that like
The-
Neosho, Diamond?
Correct, it is Newton
Anywhere where
County.
it's Newton County?
It is Newton County.
So it's still cool, to use cigarettes and vaping, huh?
Vaping, actually, more than
Is that-
tobacco, vaping is becoming a huge problem in the area. Well, across the nation, really, not just our area.
I don't know. Is there an age thing to vape?
And you're supposed to be 18 before they sell it to you, but,
Yeah, you
you know,
see them.
you're supposed to be 18 before they sell it to you.
Well, they can pour whatever they want in it.
And when did you say they were going to do the commercial or?
December, sometime in the beginning of December, I don't have the exact date, but they are going to go and present that, so, we're actually pitting our two junior high soda groups against each other, so Granby's gonna do their own presentation, and, Triway's gonna do their own, and,
So one of them will be on TV?
well,
or-
one of them will, they're gonna compete for it, and there's a group out of Seneca that's doing it.
Oh, okay.
But there's only 3 groups, from my understanding, as it is today, that are
Awesome.
competing, so we're hoping to get one of those, or that spot, so,
That'd be great.
all right,
More
thank
good
you.
stuff.
Very
Thanks,
good.
sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, how about the Quest program?
I have to table that one then.
Does it have to be friends?
Well, you all.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
We have it.
After-
Okay,
You
then.
want to just look it over?
Um,
Yeah, we,
I didn't write down any questions.
I didn't
I
either.
mean, she does a magnificent job.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. You good with that?
And she's, I mean, look at all the stuff she's got.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I don't have a
I mean,
problem.
that should speak
Yeah.
for herself.
Like, we're
you
gonna
know?
say no.
Yeah,
No, that's good.
No, it's
So you can let her know we're.
I make a motion.
Will.
Oh, we gotta do all
Not
this.
yet,
Okay.
not yet.
Building improvement plans, who would that be?
You should have had them in your hands.
Mhm.
Each building creates a building improvement plan. The principals work with their teachers and come up with what they think their building should do and where they need improvement. And each one of them is, takes state standards and gears it towards what they want their goals to be and what they want to achieve.
These are only goals, we do these every year.
Yes, these are goals that are renewed every year and changed using last year's data, which is kind of hard right now, so when we get to the CSIP, I'll have to,
So what changed from this year to last year in here? The goals, you know?
I'm not sure.
I know some of the things they talked about, they'd asked me about specifically was some of their math and ELA objectives. They had changed some of those to modify those because of new state standards, new
Now, is
testing.
that just high school or is that all the way down?
All the way down, all the way down.
And the A+ student is actually tutoring freshmen, is that new?
Well, it's not, if it just says freshman, that
It
may
does
not,
say freshman.
it may not necessarily specifically be freshman, but I know they have put them in freshman classes, but
Okay.
they're also doing other classes as well too, sophomores and juniors.
Oh,
Anybody got any thoughts?
Well, the best thing about those is Scott and I speaking with the principals, making sure they involve teachers, involve others, they don't just sit in their office and come up with this. It's a collaborative, where do we, so it's a self-reflective thing for each school. Where are we, what are we good at, where do we need to improve, and there's always areas to improve, so it's not that hard to come up with things, but it's a collaborative effort.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, what about the comprehensive school improvement program plan?
I don't have one for you.
Well, doggone it.
Well, we're missing a major component before we can do that, and Scott will talk about that, so, we won't approve the CSIP tonight because it doesn't exist, because we're missing some valuable data that the state hasn't released to us yet, so I can't really put it together for you until we get that information, so it's kinda hard to come up with a good plan of where we're gonna be on our test scores and our MAP test scores when we don't have them yet. And we won't have them for another 2 months.
Oh, now it's 2 months?
We-
Late December, fingers crossed.
It went
so.
from October to 2 more months? Wow, okay.
They say they're gonna release them to us in December. I don't believe that.
Right, now that you're saying 2 more months,
After
yeah.
the election.
Yeah.
Kind of like the
So,
airplane tickets.
you don't have to approve the CSIP. The other three, yes, the CSIP is
Oh,
not.
that off the news.
Floor's open for a motion to approve the
I'm
three
not making it.
evaluations.
You made the motion.
I'll make it.
Okay, is there a second? Moved and seconded, any discussion? Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 6-0, we're in good shape. All right, I think you're up.
All right.
Superintendent's report.
Enrollment report, we'll start with that. This was as of Tuesday. I did not go through and update my numbers today. So it's as of Tuesday, but currently we're sitting at 1,328 enrollment. Last year, we were 1,320 at this time.
That's awesome.
So we are maintaining,
Improvement.
we're up a little
No,
bit
we're
and
up,
maintaining.
we're up. What's this maintaining stuff?
Um,
pretty.
Well, it looks pretty steady there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that for, when we get to talk about funding, that is a godsend to us for funding, because now we can actually plan, instead of stepping down like we had been with our enrollment dropping. Now with it consistently, now we can have a consistent, a good estimate of what our funds, our state funds are gonna be. When it was very tough to determine that when we kept stepping down. So this year, the next couple of years, if we can maintain this and hopefully grow some, that will help us there. And actually, in January, I'll call the state, and if our enrollment's this high, we may be able to estimate our enrollment for the rest of the year, and if we can do that, then the number will be higher. So we're hoping it maintains, and we might be able to estimate our enrollment, which would make it actually a little bit higher. Because right now, we're reporting this, if we estimate it's actually, we're on last year's, or 2 years ago's enrollment, which is 1,326, what's wrong with, which was right around 1,340, 1,350, something like that. So it all depends on where we are. We might be able to estimate and actually increase our state funding
For this year.
it will count for this year. You can see our attendance, all very, very good. Currently, for the month of October was 94.97. Last year, it was 94.9. I'm looking right there, if you guys are wondering.
Anybody getting the flu yet?
Do what?
Anybody getting the flu yet?
I hope not. I'm just,
I didn't
Maybe
know
me.
if- I didn't know if the students are getting the,
at this time last year it was 94.4, so.
Yeah,
Slow
they
around, but not-
they are.
Nothing
Sorry.
significant yet.
It's on my notes right here.
Oh,
You said you typed my notes. No, I
took
that's
flu
my
shot
notes,
again.
so I know.
And one of
what-
our
so I
aides
can
is in the
compare.
hospital
I'm
with
sure
it.
take
should've- I never did bill
I
last
know,
year.
right?
And last
See, you
year-
shouldn't have started.
No, last year.
Cash flow for January, or July, it's always a month,
So I
actually,
said, okay,
for
I'll take one of those.
September, my
Sorry
bad.
about
I
that.
didn't change my thing, but this is the September numbers, I just didn't change my title there. As you can see, we're sitting all right, our current assets are a little over $2 million in the bank. That continues to be a good thing, and remember, we should be fine. We're fine in our cash flow. We're not hurting anywhere right now. It's always a little bit of a pinch in November when after we've paid for a couple, and we've gotten ahead with our, reduced spending in July, August, and September. We don't spend as much, but then in, September, October, November, we deficit spend. So it always becomes a little bit of a crunch, and we get worried about the, November payroll, that we may have to move some money over from MOSIP to make that. We have plenty of funds to do it. Well, I just wanna keep it in MOSIP so we can keep getting interest on it. So last year we were in this place, and we'll be in the same place again this year, and I may come to you all in November and say we had to move $200,000 out of our MOSIP, savings account to cover that. But it's that way every year. It all depends on when we start getting early taxes in. The earlier we get the taxes in, then we don't have to worry about it.
I pay mine the last minute I can.
That's right.
There's a group of folks that pay it early, every year, they get
Yeah,
it done
my
early.
husband does.
For this month, our revenues were $835,000, and we spent $1.1 million, so we deficit spent about $315,000. But we are still about $360,000 ahead because we didn't deficit spend in July or August. As you remember, we got $400,000 and $200,000 ahead, so we're still $300,000 ahead, or $360,000 ahead. That we have still taken in more money than we've spent so far. I can't read those. Year in, the financial dashboard we talked about. This is last year's numbers. This is what our revenue is. Our revenue's down right at $105,000 from last year, at this point last year. But our spending is down $250,000 from this point last year. So we're still, that was that money that we're still ahead there, I was talking about a second ago. This number will actually get higher as the year goes on. We will stop losing money because we're still not being fully funded this year. We're still being funded at last year's SAT, which is our state adequacy target, so how much money we get per child, per pupil, per student. So we're still being funded at this point on last year's total. We've been told it's gonna get up to 6,308. We're still being funded at 6241. So when that comes in, we will get caught up. So that's why we're $105,000, because we're still being funded on last year's funds. That will get, we've been in, the last superintendent meeting I went to, which was 2 weeks ago in Springfield, the state representatives told us, or state reps from DESE said the money is coming. We're gonna be fully funded, and they'll catch it up at the end of the year, is how that will work. So we're not out that,
Like December?
I don't know. Don't know. He said next month we're gonna jump from 6241 to 6261, and then another jump after that. So then what they do is, they don't just pay us for that month, they'll pay us for the last couple months at that rate. So once we get fully funded, they retroactively pay us for that. Not just us, but every school district. So we are financially sound right now, we're doing well. Labor cost comparisons, this is this year right here, this is last year. Last year at this time, combined classified and certified, we'd spent almost 1.2. We're at 1,128,000 this year, so that is a savings of 69,000. It's hard to read, I should make those white. So we're currently $69,000 ahead of where we spent $7,000 less this year than we did last year at this point.
So
Other cost centers, capital outlay, that's misleading, because we just paid it along the way. It'll cap out at 150 no matter what. So don't worry about that, that stops at 150. At this point, we'd spent 117 last year, we spent 136 this year. But that's one that you can ask Rusty, 150, it stops. So that's where that is. Transportation, we're spent a little bit, $6,000 more this year, that's fuel costs. Labor, almost identical, and then fuel, we're up a little bit. So it's all of what, we're up all of $4,000, $5,000 from last year at this point. So that's not devastating. And utilities, we are almost identical to this point. Last year to date, we were here, and this year to date, we spent a little bit more on trash and phone this year and less on electricity than we did last year. We spent more on electricity and less on trash and phones. The phones is because we,
E-rate, we don't get the E-rate kicked back.
Okay. Yep, the E-rate, thank you, sir. The E-rate has left, so
That
that's.
just disappeared, right?
Yeah,
Gone.
yep. So it's gone up a little bit, and that's built into the budget. I built it in the budget, so that's not a surprise. That won't hurt us. So we're just, what, $3,000, almost right at $3,000 more this year, this month, than last year, this month. So we're good. That's just fine. That's not uncommon. And that's it. That's my report.
Okay,
Could you run those off for us? And I mean, maybe even if it's that day, it's hard for me to see.
I couldn't
it.
see any of it.
Show,
so-
yeah, I can run those off for you. Yeah.
Okay, operations report.
Okay, disappointed on the bus grant. It's a lottery draw and we didn't win it. I think there were 67 schools and there were 66, so we had the wrong number assigned to us, I guess.
We're holding out for
Whoever was
Mega
pulling-
Millions.
whoever was
We were the first alternate, weren't we?
No.
No,
we weren't
okay.
First alternate, no. We would've been down the line about 20.
Okay.
so.
That was hopeful thinking.
Yeah. We did receive the food equipment grant though, and it's, we also got word, first it was like $8,000, then we got word a week later that one school wasn't gonna do it, and it's up to around 15,000. I think it'll come close to taking care of that cooler. If you remember, we're gonna take down the old freezer cooler and just replace it with a cooler, so. And that's something we'll do in April.
And we were committed to the cooler, even when it was just $9,000.
Yes.
We were gonna come up with the funds to buy the cooler because it's needed. Now that they've given us more, it's even,
Yeah,
So
we're
do
gonna
you
say-
think it will cover the cost or it won't?
It will. I mean, it's gonna be real close.
2,500.
I think the bid I got in was 17 something, that was also with labor. So Ron Roy's gonna do it, they've already did one freezer, the same brand, and so,
So now that was in the budget for this year.
no.
No, that was all the grant.
That was the grant, 8,000, or now 15,000 grant, so.
Okay,
Yeah, the grants all,
okay,
no, we have to buy what we said we're gonna buy. That's the only hitch.
okay.
So,
Uh,
the only catch.
Of course, you guys are aware, School Suburban has a lot of miles on it, so we talked about it earlier, looking at buying another vehicle. We end up buying a white transit van, you can see it sitting right there. It's a 10-passenger, so I'll allow the smaller groups to use it and not have to take a bus. It's got 10,000, it's 2016, got 10,000 miles on it. Jason found it.
You don't have to have a CDL to drive.
Nope. If you keep it at 10 passengers, you go to 11, then you have to have a CDL, and it should be marked like a bus and all that good stuff.
And that was in the budget. That was
Yeah.
planned in the budget. That's not something that
And
came out of the blue.
that is the 10 counting the driver? or-
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
10 counting the driver, yes, ma'am. I know this has been an issue for several years, and it's crazy, me and Jason had several people come and look at the radios for the buses, and it's been 2 months ago, I was meant to tell you last month, and I forgot it, but they replaced the lines from the antenna to the repeater, and it's made a big difference. Now, we still don't catch everything, but it has made a big difference. So that wasn't too big of a cost, we was able to do it out of our capital relay. And the Department of Health and Senior Services had gave us the $21,700 earlier in the year to help with the radon mitigation at Granby. Well, some of the other schools hadn't taken, there's another $32,000. So we have until January to use it, and we're gonna put in 3 more systems.
Cool. Can we do it by January?
Yes,
Okay.
And is
that's what the contractor told me.
at Granby? Is
It's at Granby, yeah. Yeah,
So we will not be radon won't be an issue.
well, right now,
It wasn't before.
it wasn't an
I
issue
know,
before.
I'm just saying.
That just so everybody knows, it wasn't an issue before, this is just
Yes.
preventative to keep
Yes.
it from becoming an issue. And it's all on grants, so we're not spending any school district money.
Great.
Took advantage, and Rusty was able to find that grant
Jump on it.
and take advantage of that, so we did.
Uh,
Good.
Derek Sarton has volunteered his services to work on the baseball, softball field too. What he's gonna do is he's gonna build it up. And he's also, where he's gonna get the dirt for that, it's gonna be behind the well house, block building. He's gonna take down some trees, dig that up and use that clay from there and then, build that ball field back up and take the topsoil from the baseball field and put it back down. That's a great.
It needs done.
Yeah, oh, it needs done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Derek's volunteering his time and his labor. I told him we'd get him some fuel. He's gonna
Just
do,
don't, just don't drive his machine over by the bus barn.
That's what we'll do, yeah.
Yeah.
and then he's gonna extend that French drain out, so.
I love that much too.
Yeah.
Good, so maybe they'll be able to play
Yeah.
at home, good.
So
Good deal.
That's all I got on that.
Can we send him a thank you note?
I think we need to do more than that, but.
Well, I know.
He's gonna try to start in 2 weeks if weather allows, so.
Okay.
He's wanting to try to get it done before baseball season.
But,
And if
board-
we have a wet
the board
weather,
starts.
wet winter,
I'd throw in some money, whatever.
we may have to wait till summer, so, and I don't think.
That's
he-
awesome. How should we proceed with
yeah.
that?
What?
We can go with Tammy about that, can't we?
Mhm.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Let's wait till he does it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Do it.
Oh, I know he'll do
everything
it.
before-
There's plenty of time to plan.
Yeah.
But you'll take care of that whenever you Yeah, let us know. when sure. it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rusty, you
Yep.
did good. Okay, curriculum
And we're
instruction,
hooked up with the water.
We're hooked up.
Oh. thank you. And no hitches with that?
No, I mean, we don't have as much pressure at the concession stand, the field house concession stand bathrooms, but it hasn't been an issue.
Okay.
It doesn't taste funny anymore.
No.
Oh, isn't that
Oh,
great?
really? Wow.
Yeah.
It's good water.
Plus. That's good.
Anybody else got any comments? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was, anybody else? Okay. Mr. Scott, I believe it's your turn.
All right. Few things, district again is participating with Crowder and the other Newton County schools in the Crowder Pathways of Teaching grant. This is Crowder and CTEC getting the schools together and incorporating new things into our curriculum. Employers, basically, employers are touching base with the schools specifically, saying these are the kind of job skills that we need to see from your graduates coming out when they come in and enter the workforce for us. Last year, we did Tyson, and we did some of the local trucking companies, and this year it's going to be healthcare and information technology partnering with Mercy and Jack Henry. So they'll be coming to us, telling us, you know, some of the things we'd like to see, and we'll see what we can incorporate in our curriculum. And we're gonna be working with Seneca, Neosho, McDonald County, and Diamond. I should have, it's not just Newton County, it's also McDonald County. It's the areas that partner with Crowder. So we'll be starting that, and that's about a 3-month-long process. We'll meet with them probably once a month, going over those things. We've sent several more teachers to, especially new teachers, to BIS training at Southwest Center. That's helping, specifically helping with behaviors in the classroom with kids. We've got those done. We've sent English teachers to source-based and blended writing workshops, teaching them how to teach their kids more source-based writings, getting those done. Science teachers have gone to several workstations, roundtable discussions, labs on the new generations, or next generation science standards, and the best ways to break those objectives down for each of those per standard. So, spoken with several teachers regarding full dyslexia screening. We've got our dyslexia screening finally done. Thank goodness. That was quite the process since this was the first year for it. There had been a few students that they'd had concerns about, so now we've started additional screenings for those now. We've met with the high school CTE teachers, those are the career and technical teachers. DESI's requiring some new things out of them. It's just new things, how to do it. They've always been doing these things as far as their curriculum, but now they're wanting them put in electronically, so they're asking us to do it in those ways. So we're kind of doing baby steps with everybody on that.
So how long a process is that gonna be?
It's due December 31st, but the only thing that's due is just check boxes. They don't require us a submission for anything yet. Next year, then we'll require the submission. So I told everybody, you know, be careful on saying, you know, I got all this
Yeah.
until we're, because whatever we say, they will tell us exactly what we need for, and it's a 4, 3, 2, 1 type rating system. So if you say you're a 4, that means you just walked across some water here, and they're gonna say, well, we need this to make sure, so.
And is this all curriculum-related materials?
Yes, curriculum-related materials, things they do in class. So specifically in class, but it's also, because most of them are also supposed to be meeting with, you know, area business, bringing those in, community, which I think they all do
Yeah.
that. So, you know, it's just a documentation for those
Okay.
things as well.
Right.
I've started the process of getting sample science texts, looking at those. You know, our science texts are out, so we've got the next generation science standards that are coming up, so we're starting the process of bringing in new science books and having teachers look at those, and I've started to pile my office up with those. Met with Grammy and Triway teachers regarding the DRA and what to look for when they're doing their testing and assessments. Talk with teachers about new performance level indicators from DESE. DESE's sent out some things for math and ELA on what below basic looks like, what basic looks like, what proficient looks like, and what advanced looks like. And so we got those out to the teachers so they can now start looking, this is the kind of, what they need to start looking for in the work themselves too. And I also told them it'd be a good idea to let the kids know, this is what you're gonna be looking for. So those expectations, yeah, they'll be up for the MAP and EOC test, but we can have those expectations up in the classroom as well. And then lastly, the good news that Dr. Mitchell was talking about regarding our CSIP plan and our APR. We took our test last year on the MAP and EOCs, got all those done, got all those in. Those were graded and scored. All hunky-dory. Except then the state came up and said, you know, maybe we need a little bit more input on what these cut scores are. And cut scores are, below this score is a basic score. Below this score is up to this point is a proficient score. So they set those cut scores. The State Board of Education wasn't really happy with where they set their cut scores because those were 3 outside vendors that did this with no input from anybody from the state of Missouri, specifically no teacher input. So they said, why don't you, maybe you go back to the drawing board, which they ignored. And finally the State Board says, you will go back to the drawing board. Which is why now we do not have cut scores. They have put those back in the hands of the teachers to establish new cut scores. Those still have to be State Board approved. And everything else before our APR can even be approved, before we can even do a CSIP plan. Initially, they were telling us we would get our data back probably around this point of the month, maybe the end of the month. And now, was it last week, 2 weeks ago? They now said that will be pushed back probably till the end of January before we get them. And I don't even have high confidence that we'll get them back by then. Now, what that means for DESE on what accountability practices they're gonna hold for the school districts, I have no
What
idea.
can they do?
Well, they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
But what will they do, I don't know.
What it's doing is pushing back, you know, the Missouri School Improvement Plan, MSIP is how they come in and grade us,
Yeah.
basically, give us scores. It's pushing that way back because now how can they expect us to make, you know, educational changes and those things from our test scores when we don't get our test scores until the year's 3/4 of the way over?
And one reason for that maybe too is they're trying to do an MSIP 6 right now and get those standards ready, and they still haven't got those ready, so I'm just wondering, since they're not ready for that, they're just kinda saying, let's hold off on everything now, so. But,
We'll see.
you know, it's been frustrating for the teachers as well, because they'd like to get their scores back because they like to adjust their teaching. What I've explained to them is you're assessing your students every single day in your classroom. Don't worry about the test. I know it's stressful and I know it's big, but your assessment of your kids every single day is a lot more pertinent than a test at the very end of the year.
And
So if
what
we
I've-
keep doing those things, we'll be fine.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
What I've told teachers and the teachers I've spoken with are, remember, you're already teaching the standards. And, you know, the test will take care of itself if you're teaching the standards and assessing the standards, like Scott said, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, those things. So that's what we want you to do anyway. We want you to teach the standards in the classroom, the things that the state says we're supposed to be doing, so we teach those. And then if you're doing a good job with that, then at the end of the year, the test should take care of itself. Now, it's
That is
always
just-
good to know the other things,
Yeah.
but, right now, that's what we have to work with, and that's what we're doing.
Very nerve wracking on the teachers.
It is, it is.
Very much.
It used to be we'd get them back July,
Yeah.
and then it was pushed back to August, then it used to be, then it was October, now it's just, we hope we get it back.
I had one question about the dyslexia screening. We have to do that now. How many kids do we have that are dyslexic? You know?
Well, I can't tell you that, mostly because we don't diagnose
Right,
dyslexia.
okay.
And
Yeah.
they've expanded the definition of dyslexia basically to mean anybody struggling with reading.
And that's really it, because really what you're talking about is, I'm gonna give you a battery of 5 tests, and you may score low on them. I can tell you that you struggle in reading in these specific areas. Now, the only people that can diagnose dyslexia are a certified school screener or a neurologist. Now, the information that we're gonna give, because some of the teachers tonight during parent-teacher conferences and on Monday, they're gonna talk to them about, after their screenings, what issues they've had with them. If we really think that this person has it, Pitt State has a certified screener and in person to test for dyslexia and diagnose for dyslexia. Now, so we could give them that information if they are truly concerned, and they can send them up there and get an actual diagnosis. But for us, I can just tell you, we have kids that have trouble reading, but I can't tell you. The national averages
They
says,
might be.
the national
Right.
averages say 10 to 20% could be dyslexia or some form of dyslexia.
Yeah, we were told 1 of every 5 kids was
Exactly.
dyslexic.
And is that what your numbers are showing?
Well, I mean, our numbers are showing about that, where you're having these troubles reading.
Right, that's what I mean, the
Right.
kids are struggling, are
Sure.
we in with the average?
So
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
why are
it's
they-
nothing,
Why are they
you know,
requiring us to
out
test
of the
for it
norm.
if you don't?
They've already diagnosed it.
The whole idea is to screen as much
Okay.
as you can, and then find a way for, because
To
to
help
help
them
the
read.
struggling readers is, and then,
Okay.
we can
I understand.
determine if they're struggling readers, and then move them on to.
And that's what we do with struggling readers. We see what component they're struggling with, and then we use a response to intervention to address that specific area, or areas if they have
So
more
we
than
will
one.
follow them throughout the year.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, we'll be testing them 2 more times throughout the year.
And the great thing about that is if we can catch these struggling readers, the earlier we catch them,
Right.
the better it is for them. The
Yeah.
better it is for those kids. I mean, that's it's the same thing like we're talking about map testing. This is where we're actually gathering data and then changing our instruction from the data we gather. That's what teaching is, so that's what we're doing.
Okay,
Okay. All
thanks,
right.
Mr. Charlton.
Absolutely.
How about the second reading on 2018 policies and procedures? If you want to review those, we can. Floor is open for approval if you choose.
I'll make a motion to approval.
We need to move to approve the policies and procedures. Is there a second? Is there a second? Any more discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. That is all the old business. We're gonna go to new business. 4-day school week. And I guess this one was brought up for several reasons.
As I sent a letter out this week, and actually it's out tonight as well at the parent-teacher conferences. Basically, it's just saying that when the 4-day school week started, that the school district, this was a 2-year trial basis. So we're assessing and gathering information to see what, our faculty and our staff think, and as well as our communities and, our patrons think. So this is the very beginning. We're just starting to gather, we sent out the surveys, and we're just gathering information now. And at the next board meeting is when we'll bring you the results of those and let you look over those, and then, what I would suggest is, I'll get you all the information before the next board meeting, so you all can decide if we wanna vote on it next board meeting or in December, on what you wanna do. So
Anybody got
we'll
any
have time.
discussion as far as anything you've heard? I've heard only positive. I've heard 1 or 2 negatives.
I've heard positive.
I don't wanna skew the results, but I'm saying that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Sure, I wasn't a fan of it to begin with, but it's worked out pretty good. I mean,
And right now, just at this short of time, we've had, with the faculty and staff, I knew we'd get quick responses. We've had
Right.
130-some folks in the district respond. And right now, just from tweeting it out, and handing out a little bit, we've got 232 from community, and we'll get more tonight as we're doing these things. And so we got a fair sample from the community already at 232, and that's less than a week, and that's just barely getting it out there. Now, as we get it out, parent-teacher conferences, it'll get more. And what I'll do here in the next week or so is send out an all-call, reminding them and saying, hey, we're doing this, please go to our website. It's right there, prominent, right in the middle. You can't miss it. And please give us your opinion, and I'll bring that all to you all. And
There was some comment made, I don't mean to interrupt, real quick, some comment made about a lot of our people did not have computers and all that.
Well,
How are we handling
That
that?
should,
we're at parent-teacher conference tonight. We have computers, and Jane made the suggestion today. I hadn't thought about it, but what I'd had the settings that you can only do it once. But since we're having it done, we have computers at all 3 schools open today, and folks coming in, they can take the tests, or they can take the survey, They can take the survey there
Take that
tonight.
test too, I guess.
And they can take it, and whoever comes in will have ability using our internet and our machines to go ahead and take the survey tonight.
Now, is that just tonight, or if someone wants to come in?
We can do it, yeah, we can do it at any
It'll be
time.
Monday too, because we're having conferences on
Yeah.
Monday as
Yeah.
well.
So we can leave that open, and anybody who wants to come in and take the survey on our machines can. They can take it on their phone too.
Yeah.
So it's, if they don't have a computer at home, they can still take it on the phone. They go to the same place and it'll be able to do it.
We just had a lot of people that didn't speak up last time until after we voted, so I just wanted to get the word out there and make sure that.
yeah, but a lot
yeah.
of them then knew, they just withheld
Yeah.
it and didn't
We
say.
just did-
So we
yeah,
can't
then
And
they-
do
we're
that.
gonna do everything we can to get it out to folks. And if there's on occasion those folks who don't wanna do it on the computer, we'll print it out and I'll put it in for them, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should hold some type of meeting, and it maybe 10 people come, maybe 0 come, but at least we can say we tried, and then that way if people do have want to voice any concerns.
Well, could we
Because
just do it
I
the next
think
board
we
meeting?
said that.
Anyone who wants to come do it, they can come during the board meeting?
Just advertise it that way.
Sure.
That way you got people, and we'll give them another
Well, we could have
opportunity.
someone
Right, I mean,
open
that
and
might
they
be
could- We could have someone open over there and
No, I'm
Then
talking
they-
about like a community type thing where people.
but I'm saying if it's discussion, then we could, if we have it on discussion and they have a comment, could they not make a comment?
Yeah, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's.
And they could do
I don't know how
an
many
entry
we
right
get,
then?
but that's
Yeah.
still another opportunity.
I'm just saying, then we're not.
Well, I think what we can do now is we'll put it out there and get it out there and see what kind of responses
How
we
many
get in the
people?
next couple weeks. And, I think then we can determine from there. I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
Well, I
I'm not
just think
saying I'm not.
that's what we told people,
Right,
is
okay.
what I think that's what we told them at the last time, that's what and we may not have anybody show up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to tell me, I wasn't here, so.
And another thought is this something to think about for when we vote? Are we gonna vote on this like a sunset every 2 years? Are we gonna keep this in place from now forever?
I think we have to do it as a long-term basis. I don't think we can keep doing it.
I'm just saying that is,
Because, the stuff I have from the teachers is, if this is gonna go back to 5-day, we need to know because we
exactly.
may not be here.
But they wanna know that certainty, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And so I don't care if we
I
just
think
need
it's
to
a
tell
certainty.
them it's gonna be 2 years or
Right,
5 years or
right.
never,
Well,
whatever we're gonna do.
Or wait until there's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that,
Oh, that's how I
yeah,
think.
I think that's just
that's
because no one that goes 5 days, they don't vote to have.
To
Right.
keep
go
going
in
5 days.
at a
Right.
time.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, you finally.
So I think if, when we vote on
You
it,
vote to
we just
continue.
vote to continue it,
Indefinitely.
and it goes indefinite unless there's
Yeah.
a problem that brings it up.
Not a problem. Just kinda wanna bring that part up.
So at the next board meeting, I'll have the results that and we can.
Yeah,
look
I
at
just
it.
want to be, if that's what we
Right.
told people, I just feel
Well,
like
yes,
that's what we should
That's
do.
a large number compared to what we had even at the end of
Oh,
last
That's
time.
what I'm
remember that? We
thinking
didn't have
too,
the
yeah.
100
I mean,
or
we have
so.
300 right now, that is a
That's-
lot more than
Yeah.
we had.
But if we're 95% positive, I mean, do you think we need to have a meeting? I mean, if
Well,
everybody's-
I'm saying,
give
if
that
that's what we
opportunity
tell
we said we were
people,
going
I think
to.
if we
Well-
tell people that, then we should
Well, that's
follow
why-
through, is what I'm saying.
That's why what
We
better
might not
time
have
when we're
anybody
all
show
here.
up.
Right.
I mean,
And-
what better time when we're all here?
Next month won't be the recommendation
Yeah.
month. It'll be,
Okay.
it'll be
But we
December.
can decide then and have the meeting if we need to later on or whatever.
Or we could have it earlier than our board meeting.
Right.
We have 30 minutes,
Just, that's what I'm saying, have it before the board meetings like we've done, our planning meetings and stuff. That would be a good one. Okay, any other thoughts or comments before we move on?
And remember, we're just at the preliminary stage now. I just need to wanted to get it out there early because it'll be up on us to
Which is
vote.
very impressive, and I thank you very much for that,
Yes.
because that's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it out there early so we can,
Okay, I'll take partial responsibility for this next one. Triway ball games, home games at Triway. And I don't know what the discussion was, I was asleep at the wheel or whatever, but here is what I'm hearing from some people, community as well as Triway, that they wanna have some home games down at Triway. No tournaments, and they're even questioning the boys, but they definitely wanna have some girls, and here's the other thing they're saying, we spent a lot of money on the floor, we spent a lot of money to make that facility better, and we're not using it. Thoughts, comments, that's my,
Yeah, I can tell you some of the things, because when I was going as a grandparent to watch, parking is awful,
Mhm.
there's not parking down there, and then you have, the floor, there's
Yes.
no.
There's
you
no
know,
room
Well,
around it.
I get it.
Around
I mean,
and
it's
you
not-
go
I don't
right
think it's-
into the bleachers.
I don't think that we're opposed to it, but something that you
It
have to
causes
consider is
problems.
volleyball. I'm not
Mhm.
sure that we could do volleyball because we have no adequate.
Right,
I simply
that's
like
said
that.
we were gonna talk about it, that's all, I'm not,
Well, we had that big blow up.
Yeah, that's what happened, there was a.
That was
I
a
know.
tournament though.
That was a
tournament.
That was
That was
fun.
down there.
I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm
And I
not
understand.
advocating either way, I was just, that was
It
a
was
tournament.
bad.
I don't think we
Yeah.
should, I don't
And
think we should do
seating.
tournaments down
And
there.
No,
the
no
seating
tournaments.
is awful also. Well, mine are gonna be out of it, so.
And then,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
I
I,
think
you-
still,
I think you could probably accommodate some girls' games down there. I don't think the boys' games you could,
well,
because they're just, unless you want boys
Well, I think
ram-
those are
ramming
just
into.
as important.
Yeah, they're all right, I know, right?
No, but the boys will ram into the stands.
Well,
and
the
hit
girls
fence.
ram into the stands too, it's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
just-
I mean, it's kind of like this
Because they're
outwalking
just
thing we
so
don't
close.
do.
It's, yeah,
you go
it's
to watch,
bad.
you can't sit.
Yeah.
You-
Can we,
there's
can
no-
we do
Girls
a
have gotten
minimal
really
amount
rough.
of?
If we do one girls, we need to do one
okay,
boys. I'm
okay,
just saying.
fair enough. Matt came up with a good idea, and so did Ron, you know, let's try a couple of games and see what we got. What are you guys thinking, if we do some
It was,
trials?
Yeah.
If you do a 5 o'clock game.
The boys' games, it's too small, because the bad thing about it, you guys know this, in a junior high basketball, your officials aren't the
right,
strongest
that's correct.
officials.
Well,
And the, and the, and
That's
the
right.
players aren't the strongest players. So if
Yeah,
officials aren't
schedules
controlling the
are-
game,
Oh, yeah.
it gets out, and that's what the last one was, it was against Lamar, and it,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Everybody's in everybody's face.
And the players are right there, so you can
Yeah.
yell it, and they
And the
hear it.
refs are, they're right there
And
too.
the refs are right
Yeah.
there, and you can yell at the ref.
And everybody's yelling at
It's not
everybody.
real, and I'll be honest, we had two.
It was bad.
helping with Pee-wees last year. We did the girls and the boys both there. And the younger boys, the third, was it third? Did we do? No.
It's just-
We just did the little girls down there and the little boys, and that's enough. When you start,
We
yeah,
discuss it.
we did the third graders and the fourth graders. We wouldn't put the fifth and sixth graders down there because the spacing of it's just not great
Right.
for it.
So what do you think? I mean, again, I'm just bringing it up because it had been brought to me. So if you guys think it's a good idea, maybe next year, you wanna do something this year? Girls, boys, volleyball, basketball,
I
what do you
think
think?
I don't think it's a good idea.
I think schedule wise, we can't do it this year.
Okay.
It's already been made.
Yeah, I don't want to throw a monkey
Yeah.
wrench in that, but we can.
Yeah.
Scheduling's not a big deal, all we have to do is tell the team.
Well, and some
and the-
teams
and the-
don't like going down there.
Yeah.
too.
But there's
That's
the
a
other-
problem.
here's
That's not
the other
true,
issue.
none of them did.
When we used to do it, we used to try to get the teams more from the south, which didn't always work out, to go to Triway. And conference schools, you can kind of force to go there, I guess, and it's not real nice to your conference
Right.
opponents. But the schools like, that aren't your conference, that you're getting to come play now,
I mean,
They're
you
not
can
gonna-
get Pierce
they're
City
not
and
gonna-
Diamond, and if they say that, if they know they're gonna play at Triway, you they'll probably just say, well, we're not gonna play.
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
If the high school's not busy,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, maybe. Bring some
Well,
kids to high school.
Brandy's,
I know, I was just,
Yeah,
I
no,
was
as far
just,
as distance.
I think-
right, I was trying to think of a
The
neutral
one, I
site.
think the one issue is the student council don't get their chance
Oh,
to
yeah.
make their
Right.
money.
That's right.
So I thought there was gonna be some type of communication where
we talked
Triways,
about that last year.
Triways was
Yeah, we
going to
did,
come
but
up
I don't know
with.
what
I
ever
can tell you,
happened.
she asked them last year.
And they didn't wanna do
that,
it.
And they did not wanna
So-
do it.
Yeah.
And I can
I know
appreciate, you know, getting everybody up here
But I tell you,
and
she
separating
did.
product,
I
and it's
don't
tough.
doubt that, I
She
just,
wanted it,
Yeah.
she wanted to have
I'm
it.
sure she did.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
wouldn't, they did not
they don't
want
want
to
to
do
take
it.
it, so.
So this one kind of falls and we'll talk about it later and otherwise
Well, I
we
think
think.
we
I think we need
I-
to make a decision.
Well, I think should we not have Tony involved? I mean, he's already,
Make a decision.
It just makes it very tough to
It's
play.
I played down there, it's not fun.
No,
No.
my boys played
It's
down
not.
there years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun then.
Yeah, my boys
I
do
mean, there's
too.
no room.
No, it's
Daughters
not.
have played.
Well, it sounds like from the talk I'm hearing that we just need to leave it like it is.
I agree.
I mean, as much as, I would love to have games down there, if it was
A
adequate.
bigger,
Right.
If it was adequate, but it's not just one item, I guess, that
No,
it's
it's
not
not,
adequate
it's,
on.
And, you know,
And you can
it,
tell people the reason we did the floor and made it nice is for PE.
Oh, it's still,
Well,
you still have to use
right,
it for
our
PE.
kids use it
That's
And
every
it's a
day.
good practice,
That's right.
you know, that's.
and the thing about it is,
Good
it's
practice.
one thing to accommodate
Yeah,
the
it's- but it's
public
not
for a
good.
game. I mean, there's limited space there, but it really is becoming a safety issue because,
Yeah.
I mean, volleyball, I mean,
Exactly.
junior high girls volleyball, I mean, that's a shankopotamus
Yes,
game
exactly.
anyway.
Yeah.
They're-
That's right.
That ball's everywhere.
On top of
along
that,
the
it's
floor.
kinda crazy too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then you don't have to have any action,
No.
just discussion, there's no action
no,
needed.
we're
to
good.
change it.
Okay.
But we know what we all feel like, so.
I wanted to bring it up because it had been brought up to me. Okay, request for qualifications for roof consultant.
Plan on trying to do some roofs at Granby this year. They're falling in the line to be done. So I'd like to get qualifications for a roof consultant. They come help make plans and make the specs for it. And then-
How bad are the roofs now?
Oh, they're not horrible, but the one, the
Not
two,
good.
they're 20 years old.
Okay.
So
Where
So
at?
there's-
the ones I'm looking at, or process would be the main building at Granby.
They got skipped last when we did that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the main building at Granby, and what would be considered, is still part of the main building, but it covers the office and the library, that part, and then there's another little one over at Old Mechanical Room.
And there's
Those are the three sections. What we'll do though, when we price it, we'll price them by section to see what we can afford.
Remember, they're not leaking, there's nothing like
That's
that,
what- that's what I
but
was
they're at a point where that could start
Yeah.
happening, so
They're,
this is just routine
Does
maintenance.
the consultant cost us more, or does?
yes, yeah, it's a cost.
I know, so.
It's usually it's a percentage of what it is. We've used one the last
You don't just
3
vote
jobs.
on it.
I mean,